Donald Trump just suggested the possibility of a rebate or stimulus check. Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Take a look at this. We've got Donald Trump. This is where he mentions it. What we're gonna do in this video is calculate how much a stimulus check could be worth in the event Donald Trump gave up, let's say, 1 year's worth of tariff revenue or a half. And then of course we've got to factor in, is there a potential economic risk to that? Or is it possible that the stimulus check, if it comes, could come in the response to higher unemployment? Who knows? But let's listen to this from Donald Trump.
The dead country 1 year ago. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Here we go.
Don't you feel it?
Mr. President, with all of that revenue coming in tens and tens of billions of dollars, do you think there is the possibility of a rebate to the American public in terms of...
Is there a possibility of a rebate to the American public? Sorry, you've got the turbine engine, similar engines to what you use in a jet aircraft for the helicopter right behind him. Probably just cooling down the helicopter, getting it ready for him. Quick fun fact, the basically turbine engine in a helicopter turns a shaft, whereas in a jet engine on an aircraft, it blows out the back. Anyway, very similar premise though in the engine.
all of that money?
We're thinking about that actually. We have so much money coming in. We're thinking about a little rebate, but the big thing we want to do is pay down debt. But we're thinking about a rebate. That's a very good question. You just made a lot of news. We're thinking about a rebate because we have so much money coming in.
Listen to Trump. He's like, you just made a lot of news. We've been thinking about it. We've got so much money coming in from tariffs. We'll talk about how much in just a moment.
From tariffs, that a little rebate for people of a certain income level might be very nice.
That was really it. There were no real other questions, but let's do a quick calculus on this. So look, if we look at how much income has been collected from tariffs, we could see as of July 22nd, we've collected about $104 billion from tariffs. However, mind you, that tariffs really didn't begin until April so far this year, and they began at a reciprocal level of about 10%. Currently, you're seeing a lot of trade deals being negotiated at about 19 to 20%. Unless you're getting the quote-unquote buy down for a potential deal with Japan, where you're seeing tariff rates at about 15%, assuming Japan is willing to finance some businesses in America with cheap or subsidized loans or equity investments into those businesses. Ignoring all of that, the point is, tariff rates today are much higher in practice than they were in April. So considering this, we actually have to increase the amount of tariffs that we potentially expect to receive on an annual basis, assuming there isn't some large recession or whatever that comes out of a slowdown in the economy and joblessness. Though, ironically, if you had a recession, Trump would probably be more likely to issue stimulus checks than less likely, especially with midterms coming up next year. And Donald Trump really needs to do everything in his power to, I mean, I hate to use the phrase, but distract from the Epstein files and kind of get some of his base happy with him again. I'm unsure if buying that is going to make people forget, but it might make people happier for sure, especially if it's a $3,000 stimulus check. Look at this. 1/3 of the year so far is about $104 billion. So at an annual rate, that's about $312 billion in tariffs. However, this includes tariffs at a lower level than 10%, and it only goes through July 22nd. So you've got to add at least another week in here, plus tariff rates are going to be higher, probably averaging 18-ish%. So it's possible that the true annualized rate of tariffs will actually be closer to about $500 billion in revenue. Donald Trump did suggest that it would be for certain people of a certain income. Obviously, you don't want to see, people making $1 million a year getting stimulus checks, which has been true for every stimulus check in the past. We usually cut it off somewhere around $125,000 to $150,000 in individual income, potentially, household income. It could be as much as $250,000 to $300,000. But anyway, if you take the top 10% of incomes in America, you find the cutoff line is at about $191,000. This puts about 138 million taxpayers in the lower 90%. So if you, and this is taxpayers, so, keep that in mind, these are individuals. So, if you had 2 taxpayers in a house, even with 1 filing, that would be 2 taxpayers. So keep that in mind. This could be per person, right? If you gave away all, assuming there are 2 tax filers in a household in this case. So anyway, if you gave away all of that $500 billion in revenues, that would basically work out to $500 billion over a year, divided by 138.4 million taxpayers. That works out to about $3,600 per person. It's a little crazy to think about it, but here's the actual math on it so you can see it in a calculator. It's $500 billion divided by 138.4 million filers puts us at about 3.6 and 12. So really, if you gave up half of this amount of money, you'd be at about $1,800 per taxpayer. Now, keep in mind, one of the ways that Donald Trump could sell this is I don't think Donald Trump has a benefit doing it in 2025. I think they want to align this with midterms. Okay, well, if by midterms next year, you end up in, a softer labor market and people are starting to say, hey, Donald Trump, your tariffs are weakening the labor market, it's causing damage, it would be a great time for Donald Trump to consider that sort of stimulus again, especially, now it'll be inflationary, don't get me wrong, the cycle of government mistakes tend to repeat, but Jerome Powell leaves in May of 2026. So you're probably honestly going to put a Kevin Hassett in place because somebody like a Kevin Warsh at the Fed, he is less interested in debt at the Fed, but Kevin Hassett will do whatever Donald Trump wants. Hassett's the guy who's just going to bend the knee and go, I'll do whatever you want, Mr. Trump. So I think you're more likely to see stimulative style spending under Kevin Hassett, and I think you're more likely to see it in 2026 before midterms. Remember, midterms are November of 2026. So I think if this $3,600 or $1,800 stimulus check comes, or whether it's $1,000 or whatever it is, depending on how they want to brand it, I think they could brand this and say, hey, we'll give away all of the tariff revenue for 1 year, or we'll give away half for 1 year, and then we'll pay down the debt with the rest. Who knows what they end up using for marketing, but I think they will use it as marketing for the midterms. And it's going to be a way to sort of, I think, for them, play cover for Epstein drama, any weakness in the labor market, any upsetness over tariffs in general. And it's just sort of a way of maybe buying some of that loyalty. And both parties do this, right? I mean, it was a motivation for Biden issuing checks. It was a motivation for Gavin Newsom in California issuing what were called the California Inflation Relief Stimulus checks. And we're like, bro, this is just going to cause inflation. But, politicians and economics, 2 totally different worlds often. But, hey, who cares if it ends up with, money in the bank, so to speak. So who knows? Donald Trump is known for saying things, and a lot of things get said. So take it all with a grain of salt for right now. I do think, if anything, you have to wait until next year. But, if in the meantime you want to get some of those awesome trade signals and the courses on building your wealth, go check them out at meetkevin.com. This morning, one of our suggestions was that in the pre-market, I sent out a signal to my course members and suggested I thought Tesla was going to move positively towards 318 today, and following that, the Qs. Both of them have moved nicely positive so far since the open. Every day the market is open, we do some kind of breakdown on here's what's going on in the market. Here, at the same time, you get access to all the courses on building your wealth, real estate investing, stock investing, Trumponomics, tax planning, entity protection, insurance, you name it. Go check it out at meetkevin.com and use coupon code RELEASETHEFILES.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.